Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Welcome once again to Living World of Darkness. This is a scene for Rage Mage with a very, very special guest narrator. Take it away, Bob.
On the Sept of the Green, no announcements have been made. None of the usual fanfare has been observed. A figure came off of a moon bridge, went straight to the cardboard palace, spent maybe 20 minutes there, and in the wake of that, went to the Black Fury portion of the Sept. She's on the Tellurian now. Some of the sisters have brought her a fairly large buck. How they got into the park, no one knows, but kinfolk have mysterious ways. And where we come upon her, she is currently preparing to dress this buck. She's got the bucket on hand. She's got various items necessary for the task, but she seems to be waiting on someone as well.
Logan has been doing his rounds, because even though he is currently the master of challenges for the Sept of the Green, having an extra set of eyes on the Sept does not go amiss. So he has maintained his normal way of doing things. This is about the time of day where he normally gets up. The sun is going down, and so he begins coming out of his sort of tent area in the Black Fury part of the Sept, where ever since Wastinger has left, he has been the eldest Black Fury on Sept. Until a very new and disturbingly familiar comes across. And the two words out of his mouth are, "Oh, shit."
By the time that Logan gets to her, she has cut open this animal. She is dressing it. She doesn't seem to mind the blood. In fact, it's almost as though this act is second nature to her. When she speaks, she's in the process of skinning it. I haven't heard from you for some time. In fact, the last time I heard from you, I had to initiate the text message. I don't like that, Logan.
It seems my memory is a little bit different. The last time I saw you, you told me I had to leave.
You did. Your presence was not necessary at the time. While you are a Gravis, you were needed elsewhere.
Turns out you were right.
I often am. Regardless, I've heard good things. Most Metis don't make it very far in life. In fact, most Metis barely escape Cleith. You made it to Fostern. Found a step position even. Could have gone a little faster, but oh well.
We were busy.
Oh, I'm sure. Mother Larissa tells me many interesting things about this place. The most senior Black Fury on the Sept. A little distasteful that it's by attrition, but suppose a victory's a victory. Just ask my old friend Sieglind.
You're not still using it as a paperweight, are you?
I absolutely still use it as a paperweight. Her skull's just so excellently thick. Now, the reason I came down here wasn't just to congratulate you. I could have sent a card. No. The reason I came down here is because I hear other things about you in particular. And she turns around with the bloody skinning knife in her hand. She even gesticulates with it. A magi? Really?
Better than a kinfolk. Gaia knows I don't deserve one of them.
She pulls the knife back, contemplatively licks the blood off of it. I suppose you're right. All the same, this is a person that's affixed themselves to my very nephew. I'm curious. And I'd like to evaluate her. After all, not just anyone can associate with those of our name.
You left our home, your sept, to make sure that the person I chose to be my fiancé is right for me?
I did.
I didn't know any better. I'd say you cared.
You are a Gravis, and I am the oldest surviving member of the family. It is my duty to look after your well-being, whether you like it or not.
It will be in public.
Hopefully not too in public. It just wouldn't do to broach certain topics amongst the hoi polloi.
Yes. But public reassures me that you won't necessarily react to her
Helena puts down the knife and walks over to another bucket that turns out to be full of water. She's washing her hands. And as she splashes around, sluicing all the various viscera off. Logan, this is not my territory, and she is obviously a tolerated presence in this area. To raise hands against her for anything short of quite the worm influence would be foolish and politically damaging, to say the least. I am simply here to look after my nephew.
She did just recently help us out.
And I would love to hear all about that.
We'll see. And, Logan will turn around rather swiftly, very suddenly, to any of the kin that are in the area. Notice that Logan's demeanor has changed very much. It has become jerky, solid, almost militaristic. And he will pull his phone out of his pocket, walk a few feet away, and call Tommy.
Tommy will pick up, and Logan will hear the Orange is the New Black theme song in the background. Yo,
Hey,
what's up?
you remember the last time we had a talk about how it's very unlikely that somebody from my family would be coming?
Yeah.
My aunt would like to meet you.
Okay. Shit. You could have at least given me time to, like, learn how to cook dinner.
She just showed up.
Great. Great, you guys are wonderful. What should I expect? Good? Bad? Meet in a bomb shelter? What are we talking about?
You know what Travis told you about Mother L, right?
Refresh my memory?
Our people give her the same respect.
Neat. Okay, I will, be on my best behavior, I guess.
She'll eat the badger.
A badger? He'd kind of deserve it, though. But okay, I'll lock all them up in their rooms.
Give me a moment. And he'll walk back. Where?
Yeah, Helena is clean, ready, looking expectantly at Logan as though she just seems to have thought he would have set this up by now and that they'd be heading off. So,
Where would you like to meet her?
Hmm. This is the first time I've been to New York, Logan. I hardly know any of the little corners and speakeasies that you all like to use for neutral territory.
Do you like Chinese?
Her eyes narrow. I'll treat it as acceptable.
And Logan will put the phone back up to his face. Wonton destruction?
Yeah, sure, I can go for that.
Okay.
More looks of just cold expectation.
And Logan will say, I'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah, see you soon. Love you.
Yeah, you too.
Tommy immediately scrambles to find an outfit that isn't like a dirty tracksuit.
Logan flicks open a pack of cigarettes, takes one out, lights it. So what exactly is your game? Yeah. What do you hope to achieve?
The same thing that I always hoped to achieve, Logan. The stability, prosperity, and endurance of the Gravis household.
Whatever I do, you know I won't have any impact on it once I'm gone.
Once you're gone, perhaps. But for now you are here, and for now you have impact by being here. The laurels that you achieve in your life will still rest on the family name. The demerits that you bring upon yourself, you bring upon the family name. You were born a Gravis, you'll die a Gravis, and you'll be remembered a Gravis. There are others who can pass on the direct lineage.
How are my lovely cousins?
They've done well, as they're expected to. Now come along. After all, you have to bring me where we're going and put out that cigarette. You know I detect the smell.
He is going to take one last, inhale, just full of insolence, and put it out. The place we're going to is owned by stargazers.
So long as they don't pander to me about the importance of my inner zen, I believe I can live with that.
So, I'll go borrow one of these sept cars.
You do that.
Logan will go one of the nicer cars, not one of the murder vans.
When he gets back, she's smoking a cigar.
There's a slight tightening of his eyes, and he's just gonna smile. You know,
She doesn't say anything. Oh, I'm sorry, dude.
something. I understand that you and Mother Larissa have probably talked, but for someone that observes such protocol, and yet, have you spoken to our warder?
He's a peach. For a Fenrir, anyway.
You didn't tell me you were coming. You told him not to, didn't you?
I did. I do that. Besides, I already told you that I was coming. I sent
When?
that text. Roll wits.
Botch.
She never sent you shit. This is like classic her.
And oh, see, I don't even remember you saying that she'd sent him something.
That's why I gave you the wits roll. I was like, I'll give him the wits roll, but this is so much better. All Logan can think is, classic her.
Oh, God damn. Commands accept can't fucking use a cell phone. That was all she, by the way.
Oh yeah. Even if it wasn't, all she does is just kind of get into the car. Maybe you can see the hint of smugness. Maybe. You've known her a while. But she's in the passenger seat now, like nothing's the matter.
And off they go to wanton destruction.
I'd say that Tomi would be there, probably waiting in a booth in the back. She's idly, like, flipping around at the menu, trying to decide what fake Americanized Chinese food she would like to eat today.
Logan will park the car, get out, pay the meter.
Um, she gets out and she waits for him to pay the meter, but she opens the door herself, for she is proud.
I was gonna say.
In fact, she opens it for herself and holds it open for him.
The door to the Chinese place?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Of course.
Logan will walk in.
At this point, she seems to be looking around, kind of in that plaintive way that people do when they're looking for a party that might already be there, but they don't really know where or who even.
Logan would probably see Tommy immediately.
She has green hair. She's not easy to miss.
This is true. This way.
Lena follows.
And Logan will stop in front of the table and sort of look at Tommy. Tommy?
She will set the menu down, and she will give them both a grin. Hey!
Hello, you must be Tommy. I've heard so much about you. And Lena bends down to extend her hand to Tommy.
Tommy will give her a surprisingly confident handshake. Nice to meet you. A huge surprise.
You know, I can't see why it would be. I managed to send word ahead in my busy day. But does he inform the others? No. No, it just comes down to these surprises. But at least I hope this is a good surprise.
Meanwhile,
And this is sense balance.
I hope so too. Tommy is relatively balanced, if not leaning towards the wild.
Awesome.
Meanwhile, Logan is behind the two women, furiously checking his text message history.
It's like right there, bro. You get there and it's just there. It was vague. She certainly didn't name any dates, but she did warn you in a very vague sense.
What was the text?
Coming to visit you soon.
Logan, this is like my first dinner with your family member and you're on your phone? Come on.
Oh, it's fine. Young people these days are attached to their phones at the hip. It's something I've just come to accept. As she sits down across from Tommy, actually.
I'm making sure someone takes my route.
Okay. She just kind of shakes her head.
Logan is going to very firmly wait until his aunt sits down.
She is very firmly seated across from Tommy, though she seems rather mindful as to whether or not their particular area has been cleared to a certain degree of privacy.
More than likely.
I imagine the only people there are Gaia-friendly staff at this point.
Yep.
Okay.
And upon
So,
a pure breed 5 Black Fury walking in, they probably realize, oh shit.
oh shit, yeah, I can imagine. Okay. Basically have the room to themselves, that's awesome. In the wake of that, she actually just kind of sits there. Eventually, drinks come around. She favors water. And, I'll go on.
Oh, I just said Tommy likes tea.
Once they have their drinks, so I have heard quite a bit about you. Apparently, you have managed to get one of the most reclusive young bachelors I've ever heard of to come out of his shell and seek companionship. Take quite a remarkable person to do that.
Well, you know, chance meetings happen.
They do.
We just turned out pretty lucky, I guess.
So, I do have to ask you, and I know it might be a little rude to cut to the point, but I should. In the course of you two knowing each other, courting each other, and what have you, how much have you learned about his particular heritage?
Mostly bits and pieces here and there. Like, I don't know if I could go to a family dinner and not make a fool out of myself, but I'd like to think I'm not totally ignorant.
It's only one success on the perception empathy.
She's not lying. She's not even really bullshitting, surprisingly.
Okay. It's of a certain advantage that you yourself come from a background that values discretion. I was actually very encouraged to learn about that. And Logan here tells me that you have been exceptionally helpful to his cause.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, from the bit I've heard, I find it... I don't know if it's cliche to call it a noble cause, but I like to help out when I can.
And I imagine you have your own responsibilities as well.
He nods.
Believe it or not, I'm not entirely unfamiliar with, how do I put this, your particular set of affairs. A little bit of you in particular, but more the type of person that you come from. I understand that those of your ilk have several groupings and responsibilities of your own, and I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that I did have a certain series of curiosities, the satisfaction of which I believe could be to both of our benefit.
Sure, shoot. The worst thing that can happen is I'm not allowed to tell you.
Well, I am a very accepting person when it comes to what some more conservative minds would call a non-standard pairing. The last person to question what I have, my significant other, found themselves in a very unfortunate situation thereafter. If only because of how vocal they decided to be. It would be hypocritical of me to defend my own chosen path and not at least try to pay mind when my very nephew decides to take a similar route. But I still have to pay attention to those conservative minds every now and again. It's a burden of responsibility. Hearing that you have been helpful to the cause is encouraging. It helps me build a case for the times when those types like to rattle their sabers and make a ruckus.
Mm-hmm.
But I may have a way to cement my argument, as it were, and that's where my curiosity comes in.
Alrighty.
There was a very unfortunate series of events that ended in my backyard. You see, there was a young woman who came from here, wanted to return to Greece, to Athens. And like any young woman who had to go across an ocean, she chose to fly because 12 hours versus however many days on the ship. Very easy choice. And somewhere in the middle of that, miles and miles above the surface, in a screaming metal tube in the sky, she went missing. As though she disappeared into thin air and somehow ended up in Athens anyway, but not where she was meant to be. It was a very sad series of things that I ended up having to investigate after the fact, though some people from outside interceded. Nasty business. We couldn't punish the people who were immediately involved, so we started taking steps backwards. Now, I've been around for a while, so I have some knowledge in these kinds of things, and I found it very curious that this young woman disappeared from a moving airplane miles in the air. I started asking questions, and that trail of questions led me back here to New York, around the time that I was going to visit you even.
Mm-hmm.
All signs seem to point to one of your ilk, though not necessarily your ilk, as it were, just the type of person you are. Having had a hand in this. Now, it's not within the range of my authority to act directly, but from what I hear, it is within yours. What I'd like to do is enlist your help to find this particular responsible party and mete out some, how do people put it, karmic balance.
Alright. Admittedly, I haven't heard any rumors from the people that I know about something like this, but if our arts happened, then there's a way to track them.
And Helena reaches across the table slowly, non-aggressively, and clasps one of Tomi's hands in both of her own. Thank you so much. I wouldn't have blamed you for saying no, but I'm very, very glad you said yes.
She smiles. Well, I've been hoping it's the protocol that, people go through me when they want to deal with that kind of thing, so I guess it technically is my jurisdiction to deal with it.
She lets go of your hand. Well then, Rather shortly, though not from me personally, I will give you what we happen to know of this in more detail, but from there I'm afraid you'll be on your own. The most up-to-date thing that we can muster is that this individual is still operating somewhere in the New York area. Not necessarily within the city proper. They keep moving.
Okay.
Logan, you have been awfully quiet. And she just kind of turns and looks at him.
No. I've just been listening. I understand that. Well, I understand how you work, and this hasn't surprised me in the slightest.
Oh, there. Don't be worried. From what I hear, this love child here is quite capable. I would not dream of putting her over her head. So, enough about business. Tell me how you two met.
Tommy just props her head up and, like, smiles innocently at Logan. Despite all of his stress, she seems fairly happy.
Well, we ran into each other the first time. In a park outside of Central Park. It was at night. And I decided to go get a cup of coffee. So I had my hood up. And I go into this coffee shop. And Tommy is there with a couple of friends. They invite me to sit down, but I sort of sit away. Tommy didn't like that. She decided to pester.
Like I do best.
And you pulled my hood off.
I remember that. That's when I gave you the nickname Batman, because you talked in that gravelly, raspy voice in your mysterious hood. She looks over at his aunt and just kind of grins. So subtle.
Worked in Greece.
Well, I'll give you this. I certainly respect the confidence. It's quite refreshing.
And she didn't let it go until my entire pack was calling me Batman. Actually, majority of the Sept at that point.
Oh, I almost forgot. Sorry to derail OSC. Can I get a perception primal urge from Auntie Gravis?
Yeah, sure. Let me look up her numbers. Okay. I see what I was doing now when I made this. Respectable. 3.
Technically, only the 9 is a success, but Tomi smells like you know when fresh Cleus first get their totem and they have that slight bit of smell of like a spirit accepted me on them. That's what she kind of smells like. It's fading, so it might have happened a little while back, but it's a thing.
Okay. This is the quality of her neutral expression. So, actually, is Tomi wearing a ring?
She is. It is silver with a purple rock on it. I don't remember the name of the stone.
Sapphire.
That.
Purple sapphire.
Silver with a purple shiny. Gotcha. She examines that in particular. So, have you two thought about setting a date?
Vaguely, at best. Let's see. He proposed about a month ago, and since then we've kind of been spitballing. It'll probably be a few months at the earliest, considering, wow, it takes a lot to plan that kind of thing.
Oh, you have no idea. It must have taken in excess of a year for me. Excess of a year, and that was just leaving alone the sheer logistics of it all. It is the most wonderful day that will take so many hours to prepare.
And Logan at this point looks over at his aunt, and his eyes go a little bit wide.
There's a black band. It looks like one of those kind of resiny things you'll see on people who don't want a shiny thing to shoot at, but still want to wear a wedding ring. On her left ring finger.
The last wedding you had was 2 entire septs.
Memories.
You're not suggesting the
What am I
entire...
not suggesting?
You're not suggesting the entire family.
Oh, Logan. If you don't think that we would come down to witness this moment in your life, I don't know who I raised.
Tommy is grinning at the prospect of the whole family, but also wondering if it will be burning all of her resources to feed that many werewolves at once.
You raised the same person that's sitting here. The same person whose cousins don't talk to him. Because they're afraid they might get infected.
Come now. I disabused them of that childish notion years ago. Have you ever tried to pay for international minutes?
No. But there are spirits.
That is not a task to abuse.
You feel
Yeah, Tommy will notice that even though she does bring up certain tones when she speaks, Helena's expression has remained rather flat. There are quirks here and there, but altogether it seems that her voice is somewhat practiced and her face at times refuses to follow.
She's not really going to point it out. In her head, she finds it, like, slightly amusing that, hey, Master Werewolves and Master Mages kind of have some stuff in common.
so.
At this point, the waiter has returned. It's actually kind of uncertain given how Wanton Destruction works whether or not there's usually a waiter to begin with, but tonight there is. And he is taking their orders. Seems very meek in the sight of Helena. Somewhat more comfortable with Logan and kind of meh towards Tommy. Your oh, I'm sorry. Your order?
Just beef and broccoli. Szechuan.
Okay, Szechuan beef and broccoli, you've got it. And you, ma'am? The curry chicken. Curry chicken. Got it. And you, miss?
The sweet and sour chicken sounds amazing.
All right, sweet and sour coming right up. It's like watching a cartoon character vanish in a blur of speed with a little cloud left behind.
Wonder what's up with him. Reminds me a lot of the people my dad used to hang out with. She just kind of shakes her head.
A nervous one. It happens. So, have you two moved in together?
Yep.
Oh, good, good, good. That's always just such a... I understand that some people consider it a taboo to move in before marriage. But I find that it's a very enlightening experience in a relationship. It's simply impossible to know if you can live with someone until you're living with them, am I right?
She nods. Yeah. I don't get how people can do it the other way around.
Neither do I, but thankfully we live in a more enlightened time. He doesn't still have that predilection for bacon, does he?
You know, a huge amount of my place's food budget goes to his bacon habit. We've talked about kind of putting him on a little bit of a diet, but it's hard to count calories, especially for people with really different metabolisms.
Logan, if I told you, you'll clog your arteries. And she very offhandedly, actually, now that I think about it, is he sitting next to her or Tommy?
He's sort of sitting in the middle of them.
Yeah, smacks him right in the belly.
There's like a whole body flinch.
It's like medium style. Nothing past a hearty back slap, except in his stomach. When she reaches out, Tommy can see a handful of jagged scars, one of which goes all the way from the top of her forearm and just kind of twists around to the back of the tricep and then hides somewhere under her shirt.
Actually, his aunt would probably feel the whole massive scars that now cover his abdomen.
She regards him with a curious look. But she drops it for the moment. It's not long after that. There's some banter. She goes through an entire pitcher of water just by herself. Doesn't seem to mind it at all, and then the food arrives. Curious portioning difference. Tommy gets like a portion that you would expect a normal person to eat at a Chinese restaurant. Logan and Auntie get portions that would feed the starting line of the Oakland Raiders at a Chinese restaurant.
Tommy doesn't seem particularly plussed, although she does put away food at a fairly alarming rate.
And so does Helena. Unless something in particular happens, the meal just kind of goes along at a pace. In spite of all the like scary fast eating, there's still banter. Well, how is New York? What are some good sightseeing places? That kind of thing. Small talk. Eventually, however, the meal draws to a close. The fortune cookies and other such desserts are distributed. Chinese donuts, 90% dough, 10% granulated sugar.
Yes.
Best thing.
Yes.
Best
I
thing.
know, right?
ever.
I'm like jonesing for them right now, just talking about it. And the group gets up. Helena insists on paying. Tell me, it has been a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, it's been really nice to meet you too.
I will be in touch.
I'll see you at home.
She'll grin. Cool. Don't be a stranger.
Wouldn't dream of it. And much like before, Helena is the first to the door and holds it open for Logan.
Tommy is so gonna give him shit about that later.
Fucking walk through. Wait for the other two. Wait for the other two.
Oh yeah, Helena's out after him.
After they leave, Tommy kind of looks around, laughs to herself. She's like, damn, just like the people back home, looking at all of the Stargazer kinfolk as if they're weirdly nostalgic. And she will follow them all out. Unless there's anything else that our lovely guest narrator would like to do.
Just one thing.
Yep.
At this point, Logan and Helena have gotten into the car. They're driving back to the Sept, and she glances at him. Were I younger, and I mean much younger and more given towards my passions, me and Agatha, we would be hacking through every possible leak of information and terminology that we could find until we ran out of heads to cut off. Thankfully, I'm of a more mature bent when it comes to politics these days. Tell me, and if you have to do some research, that's fine. But I'm curious about why she smells so Gaian.
Oh, I know that.
And I'm gonna love hearing all about it.
It's very simple. And he smiles. And there is a like shit-eating smirk on his face. As he's just driving along. That accepted her.
And with the somewhat surprised look on Helena's face, I believe we can end our scene.
Thank you to the Tag Team ST and narrator for being here. Thank you to our watchers for watching. This has been another scene of Living World of Darkness, Rage the Ascension.